Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, flying solo. So the Warriors, they won Game 5, 121-106 at Chase Center, and that's good. That's good. They are still alive. On the Discord server for this podcast, which you should join, by the way. The link is in the show notes below. You know, I asked what everyone is predicting for this game, and I think most everyone was like, oh, the Warriors are going to win big. And that's what I thought too, because unless there was some total just meltdown internally, you knew that the Warriors were, not going to let the Lakers beat them and win the series on their own home court. And you also felt like this is similar to Game 2 in the sense that in Game 1, the Lakers got their split on the road, so they got a home court advantage, and they kind of coasted in Game 2 once the Warriors kind of got some separation. You felt that maybe the Lakers would be a little down in this one and that it would be, shut down early. And it looked like it was going in that direction. The Warriors got up to an 18-point lead, but, the Lakers fought back. The Warriors had some mistakes here and there, and the Warriors ended up still winning by 15. In a way, it was not bad because that meant that LeBron played 39 minutes. And Game 5 is where I was hoping that LeBron and maybe AD start wearing down a little bit. Now, Anthony Davis left the game. Apparently, he got some kind of smack to the face by Kevon Looney. It was incidental, but he left the game. He left the bench, and it was reported during the broadcast that he was being pushed in a wheelchair. So I didn't think it was that bad of a shot, but hopefully he is okay. You don't want anyone to be hurt in that way, because if he's in a wheelchair, does that mean like they think he might have concussion, and you don't want to have anyone to have a concussion and to be out for the series? Just, whatever, you want to beat people whole if possible, because you also don't want those, they won because so-and-so didn't play type things. But that being said, like wearing LeBron James and Anthony Davis down in this series was one of the main keys. Now, I'm not going to sit here and just be super stoked because this is what I thought would happen. The thing is, they have to win 3 in a row. So now it's 2 in a row. And in theory, the pressure goes back on the Lakers, right? Because, hey, the Lakers have to win at home, quote unquote, right? Yes, they won in San Francisco already in this series, but that's the whole point of having home court until the end. Right? The Lakers, hey, if they can bring it in Game 6 and win it, then, congrats to them. But this is where, again, you still take it one game at a time. So glad the Warriors fought. And, it was overall a energetic performance, right? I would say that Draymond Green really, really was just, that dude was aggressive tonight, and they really needed that. He was aggressive on both ends. And to me, it was like he was playing for this not to be his last game in a Golden State Warriors uniform. Hopefully he continues to play that way, because next game might be his last game potentially in a Golden State Warriors uniform. Draymond in 30 minutes, 7 for 11 from the field. I mean, he was driving to the basket, hitting mid-rangers. He hit a three-pointer. He was 5 for 5 from the line, 10 boards, 4 assists, 20 points. Still had 5 turnovers, though. So that kind of aggression, that kind of yelling in AD's face, getting tangled up with AD on the ground and kind of pushing him off and not helping him up, that's the kind of stuff that you really, really need from him, because that stuff is within bounds, right? Him going off, yelling at the refs and getting technicals is not it. But kind of just being that dude, pumping his guys up and getting in other players' faces on the other team, I'll take that. I'll take that any day. Andrew Wiggins, he played with force, and that is exactly what this team has been missing overall. 36 minutes, 10 for 18 from the field, 2 for 5 from three, 7 boards, 5 assists, plus 16, 25 points. That might be his best game of the series and maybe his best game of the playoffs, if I remember correctly, but they needed him. They needed him desperately because they have not been shooting great from three, and 2 for 5 is good enough. Good enough in this respect. And it's funny because if you watch these games, whenever he has, he's been attacking mismatches all series long. And in this one, he was very, very aggressive about it. And that's exactly what you need from him, because if they're going to put LeBron on Steph defensively, then if there's a smaller dude on Wiggins, he's got to go. He's got to take him in the post or take him off the dribble, whatever he's got to do. And in particular, if you watch and he's being guarded by Austin Reeves, anytime Andrew Wiggins gets the ball and Austin Reeves is guarding him, that ball's not coming out, right? He is taking that ball and taking it to the basket and taking that kid to the paint. And that is exactly what the Warriors need from him, man. They just need him to play tough and kind of fill in the blanks, right? Like beginning of this season, he and Steph were the only dudes who came out the gate ready. The only vets came out the gate this season ready for the regular season. They played like they had just come out the finals, and nobody else had. So at that point, he was their second most consistent player. And it's hard to say that now because everybody's been inconsistent except for, Steph pretty much. But they need Wiggins to really, really pick up the pace because, Klay playing tough D, playing with some attitude, but he's not shooting well. In 37 minutes, Klay was only 3 for 12 and 2 for 6 from three, only 10 points. So somebody has to pick up the slack for Klay and Jordan Poole, because Poole got some minutes, 23 minutes, only 5 for 14, 1 for 6 from three, 11 points. He was shooting better early, but then, he'll hit a shot and then he'll take some heat check shots. He'll take, in the first half, he hit a three, which was, he was set and it was a great shot. And then either the next or the second next time down the court, he came down, got a screen, and was drifting on the wing to his left and shot a three. And it looked like it was going to be a wedge. It get stuck in there because it hit like the joint between the rim and the basket. And I was like, what's the point of that? What is the point of that? Like, if you can hit those in practice, great. But in this situation, you have to be very, very intentional about what you do and about the shots that you take. You can't waste possessions on your own heat checks, trying to get like people, talking about the pool party or something like that. You know what I mean? And again, not to pile on him, but like, even Klay's hunting shots, and sometimes like his streakiness right now, it's rough. It's rough, but they got enough from everybody else to make it work. Draymond, Andrew Wiggins, and then of course Steph. Steph played 39 minutes, 12 for 24, only 3 for 11 from three, but you love the fact that he was 9 for 13 from inside the arc on layups and, mid-range jumpers and fadeaways. So he had 27 points plus 12, 8 assists, 3 boards. Going into LA, that is going to be the question, right? Because, of course, we saw the truism of supporting role players don't play as well on the road as they do at home. And that was true for the Lakers bench guys and some of their extra supporting dudes. It was nice to see Gary Payton II available in the fourth quarter so he could put this Lonnie Walker business, put it down for a while. 28 minutes for Lonnie Walker, 2 for 6, only 4 points, didn't go off. There were a few times in the fourth quarter where, he was trying to get his kind of go one-on-one, but he had Payton on him and sometimes DiVincenzo, and they were able to shut that down a little bit better than Steph did in game 4. But going into LA, it's like, all right, Draymond has to bring the same energy. He can't let anything get to him. And Wiggins does too, right? And hopefully Klay, I mean, they need at least they need a breakout game from him, even if it's just one, right? His next game, that would be huge just to really, really get some momentum to a potential game 7. So if Klay can go off in LA for game 6, exercise those, LA demons he's had, and then, get some good vibes going back to San Francisco, then, then we're talking, then we're talking. But in the post game interview that Steph had with the NBA on TNT guys, he talked about some of the stuff that that I've talked about, that we've all seen, which was when the Warriors lose their focus and when they give the Lakers a chance. He talked specifically about game 3 in that second quarter where they let go of the rope, where people started jacking up bad shots, started playing for themselves, started turning the ball over and just losing like the overall picture of things. And then in game 4, where they had the 7-point lead going into the fourth quarter, and within like a couple minutes, it had just evaporated to nothing. So, those are the obvious inflection points in those 2 games. And he's right. Everybody's right. It's plain as day that as long as they pay attention to detail, because like in this game, there were a couple times like when they're up by 18 and then the Lakers got it down to single digits where it's like, but you cut that off. You know what I mean? You focus and you play. Whereas, in those 2 games in LA, again, it's on the road, so it's tougher. You just let it all hang out, right? Like one mistake turns into another mistake and it's just an avalanche. And then all of a sudden, all the momentum is gone. The crowd, the Lakers crowd is up and roaring, and you're trying to fight through even more than you had to before. So those are things. If I'm the Warriors, like I go into LA and you just try to punch them in the mouth first. That's what it is. Like the Lakers going to try to withstand that. But if you can build a lead, take the crowd out of it and just fight and stay on task, then, there's a chance. There's a chance. That's it. There's a chance. That's all we wanted from this team. So with their backs against the wall once again, is this the only time that we see true urgency from these dudes? We saw it against the Kings, right? When Draymond got suspended and they were facing going down 0-3 with a loss at home. They came out and they were just brawling, right? That was amazing. And then that got them on a 3-game winning streak. But then in that game 6, they were like, oh, we got this. We got this. They just played like, oh, we're going to walk to the gym. People are going to celebrate. Those young Kings are going to cower because of our greatness, the magnitude of our awesomeness and our Hall of Fame credentials. But that didn't happen. They got smoked. But then when their backs are against the wall, they won game 7. I mean, actually, Steph won that game, right? And in this series, it's like, they haven't really, really felt it. I mean, to me, game 4, their backs were against the wall. But obviously now, being down 3-1 and facing elimination if they lose one more, it's like, okay, now they woke up and they fought. And will they have that again? Can they do that 2 games in a row? Can they do it 3 games in a row? I sure as hell hope so. Or else we're all going to go into the offseason, start studying the draft, start thinking about free agency, start wondering if Myers is going to be gone, if Draymond's going to opt in or opt out, if Poole is going to be traded, if Kuminga is going to be unhappy, all this, nonsense, which is going to be fascinating. But I'm good pushing that off for a while, right? So good win tonight, but, I'm not shooting fireworks or anything like that because it's far from over. It is really, really far from over. And I guess it's just a good sign that they have this in them. And it's good that they can come home, get some home cooking, and find a little bit of their mojo that they've lost in the last couple of games before this. And then hopefully, you recharge at your home base, like in a video game or something. And then you go back out and slay the dragon. I don't know what video game that could be, but like, hey, you know what I'm talking about. In this game, the Warriors, they did a good job of limiting their turnovers. About 3 minutes into the second half, into the third quarter, they had only had 6 turnovers, which is a minor miracle. They let the rope slip on that a little bit, and they ended up with 14. So that's actually the same number of turnovers that the Lakers had. And in terms of fouling, it was pretty much even. The Warriors actually only had 18 fouls, and the Lakers had 17. The Warriors, they out rebounded the Lakers 48-38, 9-7 on the offensive end. Warriors shot 13-35 from three. Not great, but the same percentage as the Lakers, who were 10 for 27, 37%. And probably more telling is that the Warriors were 14 of 15 from the line for 93%. And the Lakers were 12 for 15, 80%. But they both had the same number of free throw attempts. So that's big, because let's just go back to the other games, right? In game one, where the Warriors lost by 5, the discrepancy was the Lakers had 29 attempts from the free throw line. The Warriors had 6. In game 2, where the Warriors won by 27, the Lakers had 17 free throw attempts. The Warriors had 16. So pretty much even. In game 3, the Lakers had 37 attempts. The Warriors had 17. So that's a 20 free throw attempt discrepancy. And in game 4, which was much closer, it was 20 free throws for the Lakers and 12 for the Warriors. So that was tighter. But we're seeing a trend here. The 2 games that the Warriors won, they were either tied or just one less free throw attempt in the free throw attempt column than the Lakers. So Steve Kerr, thank you for finally saying something. I know he doesn't like to talk about the refs or fouling or flopping and all that jazz, but let's face facts. When Darvin Ham says that he doesn't teach flopping, I mean, that's great. That's great for the TV interview. But the reality situation is there's dudes taking dives all the time. And yeah, the Warriors got some guys like Draymond. He has his tricks. Jordan Poole flails a little incessantly for my taste, to be honest. But for the most part, the Warriors don't do it half as much as these Lakers. And throughout Steph's career, he never gets calls, and even when Jordan Poole deserves calls, he doesn't get calls. So just something to keep an eye on, because part of it is, yes, the Warriors shoot a lot more from outside, but when they dive to the basket, when they get AD in that, pick and roll and run past him, get to the cup, then they get fouled. And it's about also not being overly aggressive or reaching in on defense versus the Lakers, because they'll bait you, they'll flop. So you have to stay even more disciplined. Like I've said before, it's like playing a bunch of James Hardens, from back in the day, from the Rockets days, right? Maybe not as extreme, not as aesthetically unpleasing as James Harden on the Rockets, but still to the same effect, right? So the Warriors, they know this is who the Lakers are, and this is how the refs are calling it. And if they become and continue to be the aggressors, that's when they can get some calls, if they just keep going at it. And then on defense, just got to stay true, got to move your feet, all that stuff the coaches say. Don't reach, Klay, don't get stuck in rip throughs all the time. You know what I mean? So again, those are the important things to pay attention to moving forward. Like, the Warriors know how to beat this Lakers team. It's just a question of, can they execute, right? Like, even with the Kings, it felt like there were challenges that they constantly had to overcome. And I'm not saying the Lakers are bad. I still think the Kings are a better team overall, right? But I think that the Lakers present these challenges, and the Warriors have tripped over themselves enough to put them in this hole, in this position. But again, hey, You play the guys who are in front of you. And if I'm the Lakers and the Warriors fall over themselves and keep messing up, then hey, take advantage of that. But if I'm the Warriors, it's like they should have confidence. They should have confidence that if they play their game, they can win. That's it. Right? That's it. So move on from there. That's all I got.